A very happy St. George's Day to you. St. George, the patron of England, and a patron of very many other countries around the world. He's one of those group of military saints from the early centuries of Christianity, particularly in the 4th century. One of those many soldiers who'd converted to Christianity and who would not go along with the Roman persecution of their fellow Christians. Instead, they declared themselves to be Christians. And in that declaration, they lost everything. They lost their career, they lost their families, and they lost their lives. Because once Christianity had entered the armed forces of the empire, then it became a very strong weapon for its promotion throughout the world. As the Roman legions went all over the civilized world, they took the Christian faith with them. For us, it might seem strange that soldiers should be the ones carrying the gospel to the ends of the earth. But really, it shouldn't be a surprise. Here in Manchester, here where the oratory is, St. Chad's, we sit on a Roman road, the road between Chester and York. And for 2,000 years, people have walked up and down this road, leaving their marks, bringing with them forever they have been in the world, bringing their religions and their cultures with them. And so it would be with the soldiers especially. St. George is from the eastern part of the empire. And when the Emperor Diocletian unleashed the most savage persecution of Christians, he came forward to protest. It was the last of the persecutions, but many tens of thousands of men, women, and children were killed because the emperor believed that the misfortunes that were coming to the empire were as a result of the abandonment of its ancient gods and its replacement by the Christian God. Of course, it has nothing to do with that. Every empire overextends itself. Every empire becomes flabby in the center, and every empire therefore collapses. But Diocletian thought otherwise. And in his decree, not only that the Christian scriptures and the Christian metalware must be given up from churches, but also that bishops and priests and deacons must sacrifice to the gods. And then a stage further, that everybody must, or at least heads of houses must. And it was then that George stepped forward. And he spoke boldly in defense of these Christians who were no traitors. And he spoke boldly in defense of the Lord. And he did so before the emperor and the Senate combined. And because he was one of the leading military figures in the empire, an example had to be made of him. After his death, he was venerated quite quickly with a number of other military martyrs. His head was brought to Rome and now lies in the church dedicated to him, San Giorgio in Velabro. It was Cardinal Newman's titular church when he became a cardinal in the 19th century. It might be said that Christianity cannot bring together love and fighting, love and the armed struggle. But that's a mistake. You see, there are some who say you must fight and not love. And there are others who say you must love and not fight. But if you love something, you'll fight for it. If you love something, you will fight for its defense when assailed by a wicked enemy, someone who wants to come and take away your loved ones, your way of life, your country. These are the things which we love instinctively. There is a holy love about these things. And if our love means anything, it means that we'll fight to protect them. When we come to look at a figure like St. George, we see that narrative laid out for us, not the narrative of the historical events under the Emperor Diocletian, but we hear the stories about him that we've come to know so readily in England about him slaying the dragon. We see him fighting this horrific dragon who is going to eat up this beautiful princess. You know, these stories go back into ancient Greece. And here he is slaying the aggressor to save the victim. And sometimes people see that and they think, oh, that's just fairy stories. But fairy stories, we know, are very, very important. When we look at the depiction of St. George like that, it's there to teach us right from the beginning of our lives. You know, we from the time of the nursery, we're taught these things, these stories about good and evil, how gallant knights and beautiful princesses and dragons are all there, so that we're imbued with those stories. They become part of our mental makeup. They become part of our ethical life. So when it's our turn, we'll be able to fight those dragons wherever we find them, that we may protect the weak, but that we will have strength and courage and resolve and love of our neighbourhood, love of those little things, love of our country. These are very English sentiments, if I may say so, but we do it in such an understated way, I'm also happy to say. But when we have those things, then we're doing well. We're doing good things. We're being chivalrous. And we're being as Christ wants us to be in this world, fighting under his cross. So I wish you a very happy St. George's Day. I hope you all have a pint of warm beer. And yeah, well, it's sunny here in Manchester, so all's good with the world. Bye-bye. God bless.